It's time to dad.
Hey guys, welcome back to Time to Dad. I am here with JT, Nick, and Jason. Yo,
Hey.
I'm still pissed by the way that I missed the fantasy football episode with you guys. That was a pretty good episode to listen in on. But yeah, you want to do a check in, or you just want to get right into some topics? What are you feeling?
Well, why don't we check in with you, Mr. Hostmaster General?
Oh, well, I told you guys about our camping trip this past weekend, which was pretty awesome. I was a little worried it was going to be a lot. I'm in my mind, it was going to be way worse than it was. And it really wasn't bad at all. I don't know. I just pictured Emerson getting out there and just not having shit to do and being miserably bored and raising hell the whole time. But there were four other kids there with us. So they did pretty well at occupying themselves, and the adults could just kind of kick back and do our thing while they played for a while until they tried to kill each other a couple times. But no, overall that was pretty good. So that was a nice little break from everything. And then T-ball, we had our first T-ball practice yesterday, which was also a shit show. I think 95% of my team are first year kids, so that was kind of fun to experience. Not to mention that I only had one other coach for like 11 kids, so trying to wrangle all the kids was a little difficult. So I guess get some
more things change the more they stay the same. It's like last year you were telling me about T-ball, and you're like, I'm the only guy. And they're all first year player. Like you're like the angry coach, like the bad news bears.
Dude, it's a struggle, man. It's a struggle. Like last year I was just like an assistant coach. Well, for the spring I was an assistant coach. There was a head coach and assistant coach, and then I was just like, hey, I don't mind helping out if you guys need help. And they were like, sure. So there were three of us. This year it's me and just an assistant coach and kids that are a lot far less experienced than the ones we had in the spring. So it was a chaotic hot mess, and trying to relay all this bullshit about fundraising and stuff that the league wants us to get to the parents, and it's fucking fun. It's different than I expected it to be as head coach, but it'll be fun. But how are you guys? Anyone got anything crazy, exciting going on?
I just hear
it was the first week of T-ball for me too, man, and it's the exact same thing. You know, there's always two kids that know each other, and so they start to fuck around, and then everybody else starts to lose focus because they want to hang out with the kids, and then they are just beating the hell out of each other trying to be the one who stands on first base, and it's just, I don't know. That first T-ball practice is always it's fun. It's fun to stand there and watch, but also you feel like you can feel the judgy eyes of the parents on you as you stand there and their kids are just beating the shit out of each other on first base. And you're like, well, there's not a lot I can do here on this one. They got to get back into it.
Yeah, it's good times. We started before the first practice. We had 13 kids on the roster, and after today, I heard from a third parent, so now we're down to 9 kids. Our first game is supposed to be Saturday, and we have 2 kids that'll be out for family stuff. So 7 kids that can play Saturday, and the league's like, oh, it'll be fine. It's fall ball, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really care, but I mean, 7 kids that already don't know what they're doing trying to field the ball, short fielded. It's not going to be fun for them, but we'll see how it goes, huh? You know, YOLO.
Balls. They're if anyone hits a ball, it's just gonna sit for like a good 40 to 50 seconds just on the grass.
The schedule came out and I was like, wait a minute. So I have a roster full of first time kids. A lot of them didn't even know what hand to put a glove on or how to hold a bat. And I was like, our first game is 4 days after our first practice. So it'll be fun. It'll be
that
fun.
one kid who knows what he's doing, like running around the bases, like
We
Gibson
do have one of those.
from the Dodgers. He's like, while the other kids don't even pick the ball up, and he's
Well, the
just
other
like
kids are just
pumping his fist around the base with the inside the park.
the other kids were. So I worked with the kids on hitting off the tee, and the other coach had them in the outfield, just kind of trying to figure out where everybody at was throwing and catching wise. And the other kid, I mean, a lot of them were just hacking the tee down and missing the ball. Some of them were hitting little dinkers that didn't even get into fair territory. And then this one kid gets up and he's like, I'm yelling at the coach in the outfield, like, heads up, because he's hitting bombs out into the outfield. And I'm like, okay, well, at least we have one kid that's going to score a run. It's a hot mess, but there's nothing you can do but laugh. And I feel like the parents are like looking like, why don't you help the kids? But it's just they have to learn. They have to learn the routine. They have to learn the dynamics. And so for me, I'm just like, whatever, you just laugh about it. Like I told one kid to run the bases, asked him if he knew where they were. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so after you hit this last ball, run the bases. And so he hit it. And he starts running, and I'm like, okay, he's running to first. No, he ran to the fucking outfield to pick up the ball he just hit. You have to laugh at that kind of shit, man. It's hilarious.
I mean,
Yeah, I always make them do a relay race around the bases at the start of practice, so that you have to go touch somebody, and you can't move till you touch it. So they all learn where the bases are, and that you can't move until something happens, and it's T-ball is frustrating, but also a lot of fun. I enjoy spending the time with them, and they get a lot better as the season goes on, and that's the nice part to see.
Yeah, it's night and day for most kids. If a kid's there that just absolutely doesn't want to be there, they pretty much play the same the whole time. But if there's a kid that it really clicks with them, yeah, they pick it up pretty quick.
I like it. Mine are too young. They don't play any sports, but Russell, he put the helmet on and it was way too small. I got a video. The helmet's too small and he's got a bike that he's actually too big for, but these are like hand-me-down things that we didn't know we had, but he's like didn't know, so it just became his, and he's literally like cranking the legs on a little motorcycle that's too small with the helmet that's too small, but he was like motoring and he's trying to go around the whole block like that. And at a certain point, I'm just looking at him. I'm like, are you tired? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you want to just stand up and maybe walk? It might be easier. And and he's like, all right, hold the helmet, he stands, and then he just like takes off running, just realizing how much effort he was actually putting out. But it's fun to watch him learn just like normal skills that you kind of take for granted, whether it's a bike or don't like do a crow hop instead of actually walking. It's like he's like he thinks that it's like a bike without pedals, like he sees older kids, and it's like I can do this. I don't have to worry about balance and I won't fall down. But it's like, yeah, but you're just wasting your energy, like pushing it off up the hill. It was funny. It was good. But yeah, we're not quite playing sports, but he's a good
Get him the little playmate wiffle ball tee and a bat, and he'll be
he's got
in the shins in no time.
No, he's got that, and he can throw the ball, but he jumps around with it. He'll play catch in the house when he's in the mood, but he's it's kind of like he's I wouldn't say disinterested, but he's just got way too much stuff to do. I've seen videos online where they take away like every toy that the kid has, and it's like an exercise in overstimulation versus depravity, and they're just like they're playing with the one or two things that are in the room or nothing.
They say that's amazingly good for like working on the creativity and the
100%.
imagination.
Yeah, 100%.
I can see it. I mean, we like when Emerson was really young and everyone's just buying you all sorts of shit for like birthdays and Christmas. I mean, the house was friggin' trash because there's just so many goddamn toys everywhere and nowhere to put them. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, he'd play with a toy once and then never pick it up again because there were 10 million other toys he hadn't played with in like 3 weeks. But we've been trying to purge a bunch of shit. And so like now he's got like some core toys. Like he's got his Legos. He's got those, the like magnetic shapes that you can build towers and shit with. He likes those. But we've been trying to get away or get rid of like just the silly toys and kind of keep a lot of the more educational toys or toys that kind of spur him to use his imagination to be able to play with. And he's been doing really well with that. So, and now he's at the point where if we kind of see something that we think he's grown out of or he just doesn't play with, we'll ask him, hey buddy, can we donate this to somebody else to play with? And most of the stuff he'll be like, yeah, I don't need that. I don't play with that anymore. Some of the stuff he'll want to keep, and you're like, dude, you haven't played with this since you got it. But yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I was reading, I don't remember where I was reading that. Probably some Facebook spam that I clicked on, and it was pretty much an article saying that same thing.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting in like the video that they showed because the kids they weren't screaming, kicking, asking to be let out of the room, nothing. They were literally just like self-efficiently doing whatever they were doing with one or less toys. Some of them didn't even have a toy. They're just like content just sitting there, just sitting there, like looking at the carpet, touching the wall, like stupid things, like literally, like they're just like zoned out, like they're like into it, or most of them looked like had something, but the room was bare. And none of them were crying. None of them were dissatisfied with the moment that they were in. They were just chilling, sitting there, and they had a bunch of kids in that room, so it was impressive. And they weren't even like playing with each other either. They were very focused on the one toy that was available.
Yeah,
it was super interesting.
So my wife, she started her new job a couple weeks ago. We're going on week 2. So it's been nice working from home and having mama home to tend to him while I'm working. However, since she started the job, it's just been me and Jasper. And I'll tell you, it's been an interesting crash course. So it just makes me realize how much I miss having mom here to tend to him while I'm working, because I take calls. I'm a IT representative. And so having a screaming kid in the background while you're taking calls proves to be a rather difficult task. Now, I have set up some cameras within my house, in Jasper's room and in the living room, to try and watch him while I'm working. And he did the cutest darn thing the other day. He while I was working and taking a call, I put that caller on mute and I pulled up my camera on my Alexa. And sure enough, my son was sitting in the floor with a book open, just to chattering away, just to act like he was reading that thing. And he was going to town. He was having a full-blown conversation. And then the other morning when Mama left for work, he was throwing a fit. And I told Jasper, I said, hey, go get me a book. Go get me a book. He walked all the way from one side of the living room to his bedroom and grabbed a book off the bookshelf and brought it to me. He's not talking, but he's definitely understanding words, which is pretty good to see. It was a proud dad moment.
You missed the COVID years, man. Emerson was 3, like right in his terrible 3s at the peak of COVID, when my wife's office stayed open, ours closed, and we all went to remote working. And so his daycare also closed. So I got stuck at home with him, and it was a hot mess, man, trying to work with him in the background and keep him happy. Luckily, people understood when a screaming toddler comes running into the room, because pretty much everybody on our damn Teams meetings had a kid at home of some sorts. So people were pretty cool about, dogs yapping in the background and shit. It was just kind of like the norm. but it was still a hot mess trying to concentrate and get shit done. So I feel your pain on that.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. Fortunately, I'm grateful that I've got supervisors that are pretty well understanding about it, and they show a lot of grace whenever I have to step away for an extended amount of time to tend to them. So it's been pretty nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know how
outside
you
of
do
that,
it.
the week's been busy.
That's great, man. Like I work from home, but we have an au pair because I can't. There's no way I could get anything done with my 3-year-old. I mean, he'd just be in here constantly, which is great. I love him. He comes in here, gives me hugs all day, and tries to sit on my lap while I'm writing or whatever it is I'm doing. But it just I don't know how you do it. That's
Well,
great.
it's definitely been a challenge. But my income does not really allow for a whole lot of expenses. And while technically I'm making less than what I was doing on my previous line of employment, on paper, I'm probably making about the same or more because I'm not spending $520 a month on daycare expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't swing $520 a month on daycare expenses, an au pair would be far outside of my budget. So,
Oh yeah,
so,
no, dude.
I just make do.
That's the thing. In DC, $520 wouldn't buy you a cardboard box to put your kid in.
That'll get you somebody to watch your kid for a day, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. While they go, buy the meth down the street or something, because it's $1,500 to $2,000 a kid up here for daycare.
That's about what it is here. If you do
in Richmond,
a full day, it's absurd, man. I know a lot of people who had kids and they're like, no, we're not going to do the stay-at-home mom thing. And they realize the cost of childcare and they're like, well, I guess we're doing that now because it just makes sense. Like you could leave your kid with a stranger and go work just to hand all your spouse's income over to the daycare, or you could have a parent home with them all day. It's insane, the cost of childcare. Insane.
Well, before long, my wife will be doing the same thing I'm doing, so she'll be working from home as well. So she and I will both be able to tag team it. Yeah, take care. Split that load. One thing I've always been able, while the daycare that we did have Jasper in earlier on, I have no complaints with them, but I can genuinely say that in certain instances, nobody, no matter how nice or loving they appear to be, nobody will care about your child, whether, no matter what it is, whether they learn, what they do. Nobody will care about that stuff as much as you as the parent. So that's kind of why I've, been determined to keep Jasper here at home. We intend to do a lot of, we intend to homeschool him when he gets older as well. So
I think that bore fruit when we did the potty training, which is ongoing. It is far from the miles to go until we sleep with that. But when my wife first started, she tried to do like a crash course strategy of we're just going to go cold turkey and we're going to put them in underwear and watch them or have them be naked and just no one's going anywhere for a week or 4 or 5 days, whatever it was. She wasn't working, and they didn't leave the house, and it was just, you got to tell us. There was like catchphrases and all this and that on how to get him to go to the bathroom, and she was really like convinced that he could maintain that and go to daycare. And I'm like, hon, you don't you have no idea how much effort and attention you're actually putting on him in that case. There is not a chance that he's going to feel that same level of attention and be able to do it at daycare. And really, like, she gave him like 3 or 4 pairs of spare underwear. And it was like, if he has an accident in all of these, then call Jason and he'll come pick him up and we'll try again tomorrow. It was like 10 in the morning. I dropped him off at 7. And
He's
by
already
10 a.m.,
tested
it's
them
like,
all.
yeah, we went through them all. I'm going to put them in a pull-up. You guys are fine. Like, yeah, okay. So, yeah, only you can really prevent forest fires. No, but put like attention on your I felt like that was naturally.
that was
But
funny.
I felt only you can put full attention on your kid the way that they deserve, or even anybody wants to. Nobody no offense, but nobody wants to put the attention that you put on your kids. Like, that's your kid. You're supposed to feel that way. So it is what it is.
Your child, the minute your kid is potty trained, your child care prices drop significantly as well. It's stupid expensive for a potty train.
That is until they go to preschool. And I say that because my wife, she was a pre-K teacher, a preschool teacher, and there was an alarming amount of 4 and 5 year old kids who were still not yet potty trained.
Wow!
And strangely enough, one of the requirements of the school was that if they're in the public school system, they should be fully well potty trained. And that was not the case at all. You'd be surprised at how many 4 and 5 year old kids are not potty trained at all. It's crazy. And
my wife's teacher in elementary
some
school,
more time would be put into it.
Same thing in kindergarten. The majority of kindergartners show up potty trained, but there are still kids who show up in diapers to kindergarten, and it's it's one of those things to where, like, what's the public school system going to do? They can't turn them away. And so they just more or less send them to the nurse's office to get their diaper changed. I mean, that's kind of the process, and it's awful for the kid. I have to imagine. Like, I can't imagine, sitting in math and needing to go get my diaper changed. But
I can't imagine still buying diapers when my kid's that age. Holy cow!
Right. But I can imagine it also puts the staff in an odd predicament. I mean, most teachers in the public school system, they are very standoffish about that. They have the CYA, method involving children. They don't allow themselves to be put into a situation where something could even be open to interpretation, like having to change a kid. So I imagine that puts a lot of staff in a weird predicament.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But potty training's hard. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my 3-year-old, he's been potty trained since he was 2, but it was a fight like you can't imagine with him as opposed to my first one. Like, as soon as he could figure out
urinal, man.
Oh, I gotta get that shit. I need that shit in my life.
Buy it.
Where's Joe? Is Joe going to send me his?
You guys came on after that episode, but Joe enlightened us that his kid loves. Nice. There's it's like a stand-up like men's urinal, but it's for toddlers that hooks onto the bathroom wall, and it's
got a spinny thing. If you pee on it, it spins around.
It's like the little portable kid potty that you can take anywhere and they sit on, but it's looks like a friggin' urinal that attaches to the wall. I thought that thing was fucking awesome, and my kid was already done with potty training. But you should look into the wall urinal. They might like it because it's functional and it's a toy. So.
Right. Well, that's pretty awesome, actually. I've always considered, like the more traditional ways of potty training. Whenever that Jasper comes to that, a lot of us redneck folks over here in East Texas, whenever we're trying to train our little boys, we'll just tell them to go pee off the back porch.
Yeah.
That's what works. That's worked for me.
Or you throw a couple Cheerios in the toilet and tell them to aim.
Oh, we tried that, and he just kind of stared at him like, what do you want me to do with it?
No, it wasn't outside. It was like a parent, and I only vaguely remember it, but it was the phenomenon, and I don't know who I saw do it or how it even became something, maybe long trips in the car, but it was to me, it was if I could pee in a cup, or something like a closer range, that was what helped or whatever. And that's what my parents claim, like, oh, you wouldn't go, but if we gave you a cup, you were down to pee in the cup. But other than that, that was
So I had a buddy of mine who got his kid potty trained by going out and finding a tree to go piss on. And
I've heard
one
parents
day,
just let the kids streak in the backyard, and when they gotta go, they just go. And you're like, you make a big deal out. Like, at least you went pee, and you went pee.
Right.
So
the celebration of it.
yeah.
But check it out. So he took his friend, or he took his son to his friend's house, who had to make a quick stop at his place of employment. And in this place of employment, they had fake ficus trees in the office. This kid straight up whipped it out in the office and pissed on that ficus.
Beautiful.
Well,
Good.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Right.
Our son still struggles with the wiping piece of it. Sometimes he'll call us in and he'll be screaming that he went poop, and that's his signal that he needs help wiping. But yeah, I'm so glad he can take himself to the bathroom and go.
This thing's only $14. This green pea.
Yeah, the urinal.
Yeah.
There you go. That's cheaper than the one you put on the floor and use. The one you put on the floor is like $30.
There's one here for 18. Looks a little more heavy duty, but yeah, there's a white one that you put on the floor. It's like $26. Hey,
Was that on Amazon?
Yeah.
You gotta get it, man.
I'm about to check that out.
$14? Yeah, I'll try that. I guess I don't need Joe.
Look at the reviews. Make sure you're not gonna be like cleaning piss all off your floor.
There's a monkey one for 23. I think I'm down for that. That's nice.
What's
Look
it?
at that. The you can't see it.
That's what worked for me is like nothing was working with my 2-year-old until he's 3 now, but until it was it was like, Maggie, I'm just taking your underwear off, man, and you're gonna clean it up. Like that's it. Like whatever, you're cleaning it up. Suddenly that dude was big on the toilet. He's like, I'm gonna go to the toilet. I'm gonna go to the toilet. He absolutely had no interest in cleaning up his own pee. Thought it was hilarious when I do it. Just thought that was the funniest shit ever. But
yeah,
had to do it himself, and he was right there in the bathroom. So
I keep meaning to do that Nutella prank on Emerson. Have you seen that one?
That's so mean.
It's hilarious to watch the kids' reactions. But I haven't put myself up to do it yet. So we'll see.
What is the prank? I got to be the guy to ask.
You ask your kid to like bring you. You act like you ran out of toilet paper and you need him to bring you some. You like have it staged over in your bathroom. The kid comes over and hands you the toilet paper, and you've got like peanut butter or Nutella on your hand, and you kind of grab their hand while you're grabbing the toilet paper, and the kid's like, you just wipe shit on me. some of the kids I've seen where parents have done it, it's not like the best reaction ever, and then other kids just like lose their shit over it.
That's funny.
I saw on Facebook, and the lady was like, if your kids are what did she say? She said something like if I don't remember what she said, but basically she said you're not trolling your kids enough. So she constantly like just jokes around with her kids and tells them silly shit. And I'll have to find it to show you guys because it's hard to explain. But she basically trolls her kids with like shit from the 80s and 90s and stuff. It's absolutely hilarious.
Well, as long as you don't share it on social media, that's my big thing. Is whenever you prank your kids, it's one thing, but to publicly make your kid the ass end of a joke, I think it's kind of messed up. It's like you can share it with some like personal friends or something, but like just for anybody and everybody to see, just to get likes, I think it's a little jacked up. I've seen some
that's
jacked
the world
up
of social media, though. The more clicks people can get, the better they feel about themselves. A lot of times, I feel like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Social media is a plague, in my personal opinion.
Say it, Jason. See you holding back.
No, I agree with it in both directions, but sometimes like it's up to the in a way. So Russell, like if I take a video of him and he sees it, first of all, he change it like he knows that it is being filmed, and it's not as like naturally funny, and then like he
Mhm.
wants to watch himself back, like he's like I want to see, so like he's I'm not exploiting him at that point if I send it to my.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and I don't post that a lot on Facebook for that. Like pictures, I wouldn't say that. I don't post my kids like videos and stuff of my kids on there a lot. I post a ton on Facebook. Yeah, so there is like that thought of them of having people try to steal their identity or find them like fucking fucked up shit with social media, and that's real. But videos and stuff, like he genuinely like he wants me to send it to his nana or whoever, like, so I'm not like exploiting him if
Yeah.
I'm pranking him. If I pranked him, he'd probably want to watch it back. But I hear you.
Again, I'm not opposed to sending it to people that matter, but just for random folks all over social media to see. That's where I have a problem.
That's why you gotta have that profile to private.
Yeah.
So the whole world's not seeing your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like Emerson when he was probably up till he hit 3. Like my wife posted a lot of the like cutesy videos of the baby talk and just the silly shit he did. And Facebook will throw up a memory and it'll like show you a video you posted, and she'll be scrolling and one will come up and she'll play it, and he is absolutely fascinated with like watching his younger self just be goofy and silly about shit, and he will start rolling on the floor laughing because he thinks it's so funny. And so I am glad we documented like that kind of silly shit. I'm not glad it's all over social media, but now we just kind of post the milestone stuff, and that's mainly just for like our family that's in upstate New York that we don't see all the time and stuff, so they can be a part of the kids' lives and whatnot. But yeah, I could never do the like social media parent thing where everything you and your child does is documented down to like the hour of the day.
I think it's weird that we the way we store the excess of images that we record and take. So it's like my parents probably had like 12 pictures of me before I was like 12 years old. Like literally like that was not a thing. And now that everybody has a phone in your pocket and a way to record it
forever, so why not?
So many thousands of images, like thousands, tens of thousands of images and videos of our kids that it's not even possible to try to go back and filter through and watch the ones that you really would get teary-eyed or enjoy, because it's in excess of it. So if you put it, if it's on Facebook and it reminds you to go back and watch it, like, hey, there's something that you posted 2 years ago, you actually do get a value, even though it's on. So like you get that moment brought back to you, and it's going to remember it because you only put that one thing up instead. Like you're never going back. Like, dude, your phone is probably so packed, all of our phones, in terms of how many pictures and videos that like years and years worth of shit in the cloud and everything else. Like you're not going to go back. I mean, you could go back and scroll through and enjoy them, but it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
I was taking pictures of on our hike to the waterfall while we were camping, and I got the message that was like, "Yo, you're out of memory, dude. Way too many photos." So, and I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere too, so I couldn't just push anything to the cloud. So I had to go through and like delete a bunch of stupid shit I had on there. But yeah, it's too convenient.
I think there's a pretty big difference nowadays between Facebook and everything else. Like Facebook is the modern day MySpace, right? I mean, it's all.
Except you can't have music on your homepage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. No cool backgrounds, things like that. But and we can't rank our friends anymore. But Gosh, good old days. But like, there's a big difference between the pictures that people put on Facebook and things like that versus, just pestering an Instagram account with pictures of your kid, or putting countless videos of your kid on TikTok for literally everyone to see, and you see like 5 million views on a video of a kid who's 3-4 years old, right? I mean, there's a very big difference between those two, or there's two like kind of areas of social media, and I just think that Facebook is less concerning, I suppose. I don't use the damn thing really for.
I guess
I'll challenge that though. I'll challenge that because one of the dad groups I'm in, and to this day, if I see somebody post a picture of their kid where their kid's like butt is showing or anything close to genitalia, I'll tell people like, you need to fucking take that off of here. And believe it or not, people post that shit in public groups. And one of the dad groups, a couple of the admins are very high up in the tech security world, and somebody alerted them that, hey, I think there's a few people in this group that are doing some malicious shit. And so those admins took it upon themselves to post some photos that weren't, it wasn't child pornography, but some photos that they thought some sort of creep show might take and try and do something with. And they posted them, with tokens tied to the photos, and they tracked those tokens. And sure enough, they found a few users in that group that uploaded them to some dark web shit. And luckily they fished those guys out of the group and got them out. But I mean, people think that kind of thing is harmless. And, if it's just family and friends seeing it, sure, it may be. But when you're putting it into a openly public setting, people do sick shit with that shit. And so to this day, if I come across a photo, no matter how innocent the post may seem, I just caution people to take that shit down.
Yeah. Well, even then, like every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, we'll share a picture of Jasper on social media, like our Facebook, and we have our profile set to private. But I'm also the type of person. Yeah, I've got friends and family, but even then, it's like you don't even, half the time, you may not even suspect somebody that you may consider as a friend is doing some jacked up shit. So what I'll do is if there's anything specifically that I want, any family member or something to see specifically, I won't share it to social media. I'll just send it to them directly and be done with it, because I've got friends on Facebook that I have known personally, but it's been several years since I've seen them. I don't actually know them in their current state. So I just try and play it safe and just stay the hell away from social media whenever I'm sharing pictures of Jasper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always err on the side of caution. You hear about that kind of stuff too much nowadays, and internet's. We've talked about it on a few episodes. Internet's. I mean, we have a teenage daughter, and the internet's a scary place. What started out as her downloading a chat app to just have some conversation with friends. Then we came across like messages from creepy dudes that are like fucking 30 something years old talking to a 16, 17-year-old. And, we ended up calling the police over one incident, and the police really couldn't do fucking shit with what we gave them. So it's just scary, man. I really try to limit, who can see what on Facebook. And I have an Instagram account, but I don't think I posted in it in probably 5 years or so. And I don't do TikTok and all that. It's just, I don't know. Even Facebook sometimes is just overwhelming with the amount of shit people share. So.
Yeah. I think Instagram is getting to be pretty trashy. There's a lot of filth on Instagram that I see, just like paid ads that show up from time to time, or just it's all kind of gross shit. And then as far as TikTok's concerned, I don't let that commie shit in my house. But no, like I don't let my wife. I don't like Snapchat. And I
don't do Snapchat.
Yeah, Snapchat. I told she had a Snapchat whenever she and I first got together, but I told her, like, hey, we're married now, so if you want to associate with people or have friends, I don't care. But to me, the idea of an app that by default deletes messages after they get sent, that's an app for, people that are trying to cheat or chomos. So I was like, no. So I just like Snapchat's not where you should be letting your kid, post pictures and stuff like that, because you never know who's on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
So
normally I would agree, although my wife is from rural Canada, and Snapchat is one of the only apps that like works because it takes up so little bandwidth on your phone. So she video calls with her family on Snapchat, and it's just a weird situation there because they have because they have no other version of internet out there, and it's like
nice.
You see the Milky Way when you're outside their house, kind of rural Canada, which is great to go to, but can't get a hold of anybody there to save damn life.
Right. Which leads me to think, y'all got kids old enough to play games. What are y'all hearing about this game, Roblox? I've heard some
all those games have had weird shit going on in them. I don't know about Roblox, but I've heard about crazy shit happening in Minecraft.
Well, I've read a lot of articles about so from what I've gathered, Roblox is a game where you can create games digitally. A lot of people that are learning to code and learning to produce games, they will use Roblox to kind of build on that, and you can get some monetary use out of it. But I have heard horror stories about some really sick people out there creating games specifically intended to target small kids, and then it turned out to be some really weird, obscene shit.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate. Anything that's going to attract kids and people of the age to communicate that might not have an adult right beside them, there's always going to be weird predatory shit happening and that kind of stuff. That's why Emerson, he's got a Nintendo Switch, but he can't get on the internet with it because who the fuck knows who's going to end up on a game when he goes to play, Mario Party online or some shit. So,
right.
But I was going to say,
Minecraft is great. I will play like my kids. Both my boys and I will sit down and we will play Minecraft together because it's kind of like playing Legos on the computer, and they love it, right? You get to, plus there's zombies in survival mode, so they get to fight off zombies and while we build shit, and it's just a lot of fun for us to do together, and that's what they like. They like that, they're always asking me, hey, do you want to play Minecraft? And if I'm busy or doing something, I'm like, not now, but we can play later tonight, and that kind of thing. And then they don't really want to play it without me. So
that's the difference, though. You're doing it with them.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. I think the engagement, if you're engaged with them on it, like, great, awesome, fantastic. Same thing as T-ball. And if you're not, if you don't have the time, that's where they can, they get online, they snowball, it gets into more, scary areas of the gaming world. But
and it's not always like malicious, predatory people either. It could just be they end up in a game with a bunch of adults that are obnoxious and use profanity and stuff, and it's not their kids, so they don't care, and it's not necessarily dangerous to your kid. It's just material you don't want them around,
right?
Yeah.
But
which on Call of Duty, that's the same thing.
Don't even get me started. I used to play Call of Duty back in the day. We trolled some kids hard, man. But,
gosh, back when I played Call of Duty Black Ops, the first one, back when it was on
throwback.
Back when it was on PS3. That's how long ago I was still just a very young adult. And there were kids, like small kids. We call them squeakers,
Squeakers are sweaty kids, yeah.
Put grown ass men to shame with the language and the stuff they talk. I was like, boy, do you kiss your mom with that mouth? That is nasty. Just talking all kinds of crazy.
No, you mentioned
just as profane.
You mentioned friggin' rural Canada. I don't think I put this in the chat. I might have, but where we were camping, there was no cell service. There was a little bit of Wi-Fi spread throughout the campground, but we were getting the fire together and everything for the kids to do s'mores. And I went to cram my cell phone down into the little cup holder on my chair. It was a tight fit, and I crammed it in there and walked away. And about the time I got over to the campfire, I started hearing this weird, like, whooping noise. And I was like, what the fuck's that? And I look over at my chair, and my phone is flashing, and my phone's making the noise. And it dawned on me, my phone had just dialed SOS 911. And so I got over there. I tried to fucking cancel it. I couldn't cancel it in time. And so I'm talking to the 911 operator, and the service is going in and out because the call was over Wi-Fi. I'm trying to explain to her that, like, everything's fine. I was like, I tried to tell her the campground we're at, and she's like, okay, well, what color is your RV? And I was like, well, we're not in an RV, we're in a tent. And she got really snippy with me. And long story short, about 10 minutes later, a cruiser rolls by, and I had to walk out there, do the walk of shame, and be like, my fucking bad. I accidentally dialed it. And the troopers that came out were pretty chill, and they were like, we get it. It's just our policy to come out. I think that's like their back door to get on the campground and kind of look around for any other mischievous shit. But they seemed pretty chill about it. But I was pretty embarrassed at the time that I fucking accidentally dialed 911. But it was a good time. Don't recommend stuffing your phone into a cup holder.
Yeah, I always wonder about that when people, like, kids dialing. It seems like anytime my kid has actually, like, gotten that far with it, you hang it up in time. But yeah, that's always the fear. Like, you're gonna go down the rabbit hole with the cop showing up.
So back in the day, you still had to plug your damn phone into the wall, and you had, like, the slinky cord on it. When my sister and I were kids, she unplugged the receiver, right? Like the part you talk into. She unplugged that from the phone base, but she left the phone base dial pad still in the wall. And there she was over there calling 911 and thought she was just playing. And she heard the other phone line ring, and my dad picked up the phone, and it's the fucking police. And they're like, yeah, we just got, an emergency call from this house, and no one responded. And my dad's like, well, we didn't call. And he yells upstairs, and he asked me if I did it. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And my sister denied it. And then later that night, after that got sorted out and everybody went to bed, she went and disconnected the whole phone and just set it at the top of the stairs. And obviously my parents knew that because she was older than me, so she had her own phone. But it was at that point that my parents realized she had fucked up. But don't dial 911, kids, unless you really need it.
Yeah.
I miss those phones. I miss it. I had this really, like, super cool, was not cool at all, but like this, like, Scooby-Doo mansion phone with like it was, oh man, this thing was like 3 feet tall, and it was absolutely ridiculous, but I thought it was the coolest shit on the planet when I was 7 or whatever it was. Calling my quote girlfriend's mom to ask if she was home and things like that.
It was the translucent VTech wireless phones that were the shit back in the day. If you had one of those, people were like, oh, damn, that thing's nice.
The football phone.
Or the baseball. I think they had a football helmet, too.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a Cowboys one.
Kids will never know, man. Picking up the phone to call your friend, or you're already talking to your friend, and your mom tries to get on the dial-up internet, and you hear the screeching of the modem in your ear.
I'm using the phone.
Kids will never know the pain.
There's something about that vibe, though. Even at work, like, I had a customer. I was like,
yes.
that is nice.
Fucking awesome.
But
that's cool.
Like, picking up the old, usually everything goes, it's transferred to my cell in case I'm not there or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm very rarely actually physically picking up that plastic desk phone and using it. But if I grab that phone to call a customer, or someone hands me a phone like that, it's like a different vibe. It's like, oh, I'm on the phone. Like, and then like, it's just like your mental state of how you're talking on that thing versus the cell phone. I mean, it's just different. It's just the
More
like
casual.
the energy
It's
of
more
how you're
casual.
holding it. Like, I'm on the phone right now. I got a real phone. This is professional as fuck. But if it's like a cell phone, you could be talking to anybody. I feel very different with a real phone.
So the one thing I miss about being on a hardline phone is, back in the day, whenever you hung up on somebody, they knew it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could
They'll call you back.
forcefully.
Did you hang up on me? Did you hang up on me? And be like, I don't know. Did it sound a little something like this? Click.
Yeah. Can't do that now.
But nowadays
You
they
can
can
deny.
still.
Or
they
you can
talk
just
for 3-4 minutes.
hold down the buttons when they're pissing you off and they'd hear the number in their ear. Yeah. You can do cool shit, man. Kids will never. I like watching it's those Facebook videos where they like give old shit to kids and they're like the kids trying to figure out what it is and the dad gave them like one of those old rotary phones. And he was like, I'll give you $500 if you can successfully dial this number with this phone. And the kids are just sitting there screwing with it. No clue how to use it, how it works. Like, never even picked up the receiver so the call would actually go out. It's fucking hilarious. Simpler times back then. Simpler times.
I saw this meme that had the old cassette player in a Chevy Silverado pickup truck down towards the bottom. And it was a meme where some kid had shoved an iPad or an iPod into it, assuming that it was supposed to be some iPod dock.
It's like an 8-track.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Kids these days, man.
Nobody will remember. Nobody will remember the work that was put into making mixtapes and shit like that either. I remember the prime example of affection was whenever you gave a girl a mixtape.
Ooh, mixtapes. Well, my generation at least, we had, there were records when we were younger. Some parents probably still had 8-tracks. Then you had the cassette. Then you had CDs. Then you had, then you had like the really cheap like MP3 players. Then you kind of evolved into the iPod, and now it's all on your. Man, there were so many different media formats throughout, like my life so far. It's ridiculous, and now everything's just digital, and you can't really go anywhere from digital. I guess.
Oh, if I look for it, I probably still have like a 2004 high school girlfriend made me one of those CDs with like Edwin McCain on it.
Oh, you probably have one of those CD books with like 12 custom burned CDs in it. Summer jams of 95 or something written on it.
Booty jams of
booty
2000 or something.
Crunk mix. Who knows, man?
I remember doing the mixtapes, where you had to sit there right by the radio as the radio stations were coming in and recorded it, record whichever song you wanted specifically, and then turn it off so it wouldn't record anymore. And then I remember the disc where, it first started out where you were only able to put like 12 or 13 songs on the disc.
Yeah.
And then I started learning how to do MP3s on a disc, where I could load like 160 songs to one disc. And that was, to me, that was like top-notch shit. And then iPod came out.
Yep. Good times. Well, I'm going to cut us off because I feel like we could talk about this forever. That was a fun topic. I am overwhelmed with this nostalgia right now. But thank you guys for hanging out with us here on Time to Dad. As always, check out the Facebook group. Always accepting new members there. Like and subscribe and drop a comment. We will catch you on the next episode. See you.
Later, guys.